Okay, so we had Cataclysm, then we had Bloodbath, then we had Bloodlust, then we had Zodiac, then we had Tartarus, then we had Firework, then we had Slaughterhouse, then we had Acheron, then Tidal Wave, and now Thinking Space 2. Throughout the history of the game, there was a top level creator making lots of very quality levels, but they never seemed to push the demon list. A lot of them were quite up there. You all know Mindcap. His first big level was Celestial Force. It was right around top 10 at the time. I remember this level when it came out, very long time ago. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that being one of the best levels of the time. Mindcap made lots of cool levels and participated in many cool projects. We all know Limbo, Orbit, Every End. Around 3 years ago though, Mindcap uploaded a preview for a level called Heliopolis. Great song. I remember it from a fan-made game about 15 years ago called Mario Forever. In the level 8-2, they used this song Apoplexy for the stage, called Apoplexy Tanks, and it's a really, really good song. And I think the atmosphere of the level goes really well with it. I think the gameplay goes really well with it. It's really nicely designed. It's thought out. It's not really derivative. It's an original level. And people were quick to point out that this looks a lot like Acropolis. Like, it looks very inspired by Acropolis. And it may be. But Mindcap himself has said there are personal inspirations for the level that are yet to be revealed. So this was 3 years ago. It was projected to be the hardest timing demon. The few verifiers that picked it up have never made much progress though. I guess it'll be useful for me to, for context, so as of August 2022, what was the number 1 demon? It was Slaughterhouse. So with Slaughterhouse at top 1 at the time, Mindcap knew he wanted to push this level beyond that. By the time the first progress was uploaded to Mindcap's channel, what was the top 1 demon in February 2024? Avernus. Oh, Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave happened 2 days after. The progress of 46%. So then bro's like, okay, I'm gonna buff it even more because we need it to be top 1. So now it's gotta be harder than Tidal Wave. But now we have a new problem. Who the fuck is gonna verify it? That brings us to 10 months ago. Frame Perfect plus verifiers.
Frame perfect counts are not an accurate representation for how hard a level is. For example,
yes, this is true, but it can help give perspective on how hard a level is. It can't tell you outright how hard a level is, but it can help convey that.
Example, just because Shardscapes has 29 frame perfects does not make it harder than fucking Unnerved Silent Clubstep. But, needless to say, I find them kinda cool. I soy at numbers going up. However, I'm using this as an excuse to show the most recent version of Heliopolis. And let me just say, since we're approaching 2 years since the level was showcased, This is an evil level.
Yeah, it is very evil.
I'm not kidding.
Acheron is very hard. So this is probably old, still, from the most recent version. So yeah, lots of tight clicks, but it doesn't really tell you what that means, how hard it actually is. I mean, the same goes for Acheron, which was just shown, but we're getting there. This is a great time for me to talk about the general difficulty of different frame perfects. So, the difference between 60, 120, 240, and 480 frames per second in terms of frame-perfect gameplay, primarily in high-precision games like Geometry Dash, relates to the size of the input timing window as the frame rate increases. The amount of time available to make a precise input shrinks, making frame perfects much harder at higher frame rates. So on 480 Hz, for a 60 FPS frame perfect, meaning the actual jump itself, not my monitor's refresh rate, you still have 16.67 milliseconds to do it, but you get more frames, so lower input delay. Lower input delay, more frames because higher refresh rate for the same time needed to click. It's not that complicated, but it's hard to simplify. 5 frame window to do that same frame perfect on a higher refresh rate because more frames. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So what would be a frame perfect on 60 Hz would actually be an 8 frame window on 480 Hz. Same amount of time, just more frames, more chances to react, unless you have CBF. That's the best way to explain it, I think. So there's been a debate for a while whether frame perfects are a healthy addition to top-level play in Geometry Dash. I see videos made by furries like Zalit's, the problem with Geometry Dash top-level play. The quality of a top level is irrelevant apart from the contingency already drawn up by the official lists like All-Rated Extreme Demon List and Pointer Crate Demon List, which are both cancerous, toxic, inherently discriminatory communities, by the way. Do not seek community in these places. These communities are run by power-hungry, self-validating minors who dictate what you're doing based on what you think. But that's besides the point. In order to be a top demon, it has to be rated. In order to be rated, it has to be good. If it's not good, that's a Rob Top problem, not a community problem, not a player problem. We've pushed the limit of communication between player and game to its limit for some time now. We were bound to hit a level of player ability that required a level of commitment this game hasn't seen even yet, with Doggy verifying Grief, Zoink with Thinking Space 2, Pop Off with Amethyst. These pale in comparison to what Heliopolis is. I can see the point people are trying to get at, but it doesn't change the difficulty, and quality is not really relevant when... How can I put this? And again, whether it is a top demon is already contingent on the qualitative factors of difficulty and the overall difficulty and quality of the level on game side, not community side. Okay, we feel that it's not a good thing to have frame perfects in the top demons. Yeah, the Dasher podcast. When I only tuned into this one time. There was a single time that I watched this, and it was the Riot episode. And he made a great point in that episode that the demon list was never meant to be accessible. It never was. It was meant to rank difficulty of a small amount of levels. Now you have the demon list where the main list is like, what, 75 levels? And then you have an extended list, a legacy list, you have all these different fucking lists. Something being unfair does not antagonize how difficult it is. It's still difficult, which is the sole purpose of these rankings. If you want good levels, there's good levels to play. But that's not the main thing that's kept the community alive, I don't think. Hell, that's why a lot of brilliant levels fall through the cracks. People have plenty of problem with the rating system, and they should. Anyway, with all that out of the way, all that context, how hard is Heliopolis, a supposed top one, harder than Tidal Wave, harder than everything? We saw the video, there were lots of frame perfects right away. But that doesn't tell us a whole lot. This perspective will show you exactly how hard it is. Zodiac, right? Back in 2019, this was number 1 because it's 3 minutes of pretty difficult gameplay. Pretty decently difficult gameplay. But where is Zodiac now? Number 127. Bloodlust was 86 when I beat it. In November of 2023, 2024, I can't remember. A little bit ago. There's another level around this difficulty. It's called Hard Machine. It's notoriously horrible. It's known for being a bad level. And that's not even on the extended, that's on... Oh, I spelled it wrong. Oh, so it's 4 positions above Zodiac. So in Hard Machine... In Hard Machine, the reason the level is comparable to Zodiac in difficulty is choke points. Clicks that feel luck-based. And also the gameplay is not the easiest. But there's choke points, and that's the main contributor of difficulty here. I did it first try. What did I do exactly though, you may ask? I'll show you, if I can get there. I will force platformer. Oh, I have to go out and go back in. At 19%, there is a frame perfect. It is a 120 FPS frame perfect. You have a very brief window to make this jump. I mean, obviously, if using CBF, it makes things easier, right? You're not gonna fall perfectly under the same, like, values and times for doing certain clicks. That'll make things easier. 120 hertz frame perfect, 120 FPS frame perfect is pretty goddamn tight. It's a pretty luck-based jump, especially if you're falling from off screen, like you're just kind of going into it. If you're doing it pretty much blind, these jumps are pretty goddamn luck-based, is the point I'm trying to convey. Now, with that in mind, that's a 120 frame... That's a 120 FPS frame perfect. And that specifically, those kinds of jumps, is what puts it around Zodiac difficulty, the only reason. Some choke points. And a little bit challenging gameplay. It's much shorter too, it's like 1.5 minutes. Zodiac is like double that length. In Heliopolis, pretty much every click, a lot of the clicks are 60 FPS frame perfects, 120, and late into the level there's a 240. That still might not tell you a lot. This will make you feel how hard Heliopolis is. For reference, every 120 frame perfect is like the 19% choke point on Hard Machine, a level rivaling Zodiac in difficulty specifically only because of these sorts of clicks. So 33 times Zodiac level choke points. Sprinkle in a 240 frame perfect for no reason in the middle of the level towards the end. Throw in 150 60 FPS frame perfects for fun while we're at it. So that would be 4 or 5 plus frame for me. I use CBF. The 240 frame perfect, that's still a hard click regardless. Shit's insane. So I want you to pay attention, right? Every 120 FPS frame perfect there is, it's exactly like that choke point click in Hard Machine that's gonna get you a lot of the time trying to beat that. So we get to the end here. The counter. 150 60 FPS frame perfects, 29 120 FPS frame perfects. That's so many. So yeah, on standard physics, Hard Machine has only 2 120 FPS frame perfects through the whole level. And those points specifically are the kind of thing that pushes it to the difficulty to sit next to levels like Zodiac. If looking at the current demon list, Slaughterhouse is a top 25 now. 4 spots above that is Defeated Circles. This level is short, and it feels like an easy demon in comparison to the gameplay in Heliopolis. This is what we're dealing with here. You are not beating this level just because you have an ability to play the game good, because you take good care of yourself and you can keep yourself sharp. We are entering an era of this game where being good at it is not enough. You need commitment to a level where it's debatable whether it's justifiable or not to invest this kind of time. These levels are getting so hard that even if you're good, you have to spend such an exorbitant amount of time in the game consistently with your brain thinking about the level itself a majority of the time. Like, it's taxing. It's taxing. And so, whether it be because of players like Riot, N-Swish, and Zoink, or hackers like Space UK, because of the appeal of these levels, it has taken this long for it to happen, but I think it has now happened. This is how the Geometry Dash community has evolved past ability to play being the dominant factor in difficult completions. It's commitment now. Commitment is the dominant factor in completion, not just ability to play. What I think Heliopolis really represents to myself and the community at large is an invitation from Mindcap to exceed the limits of player limitation once more, even if it's many frame perfects. We've been at the limit of communication between player and game for some time now, with some small quality of life improvements to the overall mechanics of the game. Some people argue that there's a greater disparity, but I argue against this. Look at some of the mobile completions we have now. Some of the mobile completions we have now wouldn't be possible on mobile 10 years ago. It wasn't. Some levels were fucking impossible back in the day that are pretty easy now. So yeah, it's an invitation to exceed perceived limitation, because we've been at the limit of communication between game and player. And the natural result of this is a level with a level of necessary commitment this game hasn't seen yet, even now. Be sure to check out my Instagram. Be sure to check out my TikTok, where I post deep shit and some funny shit. You can join my Discord server if you'd like. It's not much, but it's something. Like and sub. My name means to conquer. You can help me do this by making me the most subscribed Vince on YouTube. Also, I have a music channel now. I am starting to release Juice WRLD inspired music. I'm openly inspired by Juice WRLD, and I've been working on a lot of cool shit there. So check that out if you're interested. Everybody have a good night or day. Cheers.